Hey guys, welcome back to the full stack app development course. In the last video we have worked on the admin panel functionality, and what we had done, we had also deployed the admin panel as well as that on the Vercel. Okay, so if you're facing any issue, so you can check it out our GitHub, and the GitHub URL is like, people usually ask me where is the GitHub URL. So you have to search github/md Alishan Ali. Inside this repository sections I had created admin panel wall hub, so you can check it out if you're facing any issue regarding that. So if we talk about like what we had done, so first thing, like the app UI stuff is already done. We had done the backend setup as well. The admin panel is also done in the last video. Now basically what we are going to do in this video, in our app, we have to implement the API, like we have to integrate the API in our app. So we are going to do that, all the stuff. All right, so let's do that. So we are having a wall hub application. Inside that we are going to integrate the API. To integrate the APIs, we are going to use Axios. Okay, so again, before that, let me watch this app. So as you can see that we are having a home screen. Here we have to add a get all wallpapers API call. Here we have to implement the get all category API, and here we have to implement search API, like get all search API, and we are having a like a screen, so we don't have to do any stuff here. Now on the home screen, let's implement the get all wallpapers. So to make the API call, we are going to use Axios. So let me install the Axios. So we have to write npm I Axios. It will install the Axios in some seconds. Let's wait for some seconds, and it is installed. After that, you have to write npm start. Okay, again and again you have to type a to run this device, to run on Android. Alright, so let me type a, and after that, inside the source directory, inside the utils, I'm going to create another file that is called api.js. okay, and after that I'm going to write const api is equal to Axios. okay, I imported Axios from axios.create. alright, now inside this we have to pass a base URL. alright, so let me pass a base URL as well. So I'm going to define a base URL on the top, const base URL. alright, and we have to pass the base URL as well. So I have already deployed our our backend. So let me get the base URL as we have already. So I'm going to take the base URL from this project. I've already deployed this. So let me copy this base URL, copy and close this, and let me paste this again. Alright, now we had created the API instance, and we are going to use in our app, and we have to export this as well. So export const API. alright, now after that, let's go to the screens folder. In the screen we are having a home screen. So here we have to call the API. alright, so I'm gonna create one function called get all wallpapers. It's gonna be async function. So let me create async function, and it's gonna be async arrow function, and we're gonna use try catch block as well. After that, I'm gonna write const response is equal to await. I'm gonna import the api.get, and the endpoint will be gonna be /api/wallpapers. alright, now after that we will get the response. okay, so I'm gonna write const new wallpapers is equal to response dot data dot wallpapers. alright, after that I'm going to create one state that is called const wallpapers set wallpapers, and by default I'm gonna use state, and the state gonna be an empty array. okay, and whenever we make API calls, we're gonna also maintain the is loading state. So before that, let's do that. If new wallpaper, so what I'm gonna do, if response dot data dot wallpapers is there, otherwise I'm gonna give an empty array. okay, and after that I will check that if new wallpapers dot length exists. okay, or if length is greater than 0. okay, so what I'm gonna do, basically I'm gonna set wallpapers is equal to new wallpapers, like this. okay, and after I'm gonna also maintain one state that is called const is loading set is loading. and by default use state gonna be false. Okay, and once we start the making API call, I'm gonna make it set is loading as a true, and otherwise once the API call is succeed, I will make it false. Okay, and inside the error block as well, so I'm gonna make it false. Okay, so I will done with that. After that I'm gonna import the use effect hook. Okay, so inside the use effect hook, what I'm gonna do, basically I will call this function. Okay, so let's call this function as well. Okay, and we're gonna maintain one state as well for the pagination. So before that, let's see how it's working and how it's looking. Okay, so if we see that we are making API call, and once we make API call, we are rendering that data on, we are setting the data on this wallpaper state. Okay, so if I explain you once more, so we are calling function called get all wallpapers. Inside that we are making API call to the /API/wallpapers endpoint. Okay, we have set our base URL to this XUS endpoint. Okay, now if we check that if new wallpapers has length, then we are setting set wallpaper is equal to new wallpapers, and we are making set is loading as a false, and same for error, we are making it false. Now instead of passing a data, we are gonna make the pass the wallpaper data. Okay, and let me close this. Okay, so as you can see that we are getting 10 data right now, 2 4 6 8 10. All right, and after that what I'm gonna do, basically guys, here I'm gonna show list footer component. Okay, and inside this I'm gonna show a activity indicator. So let's add a activity indicator. Okay, the size is gonna be a large, so let me pass the size as a large, and the color is going to be white. Going to be white. Okay, now let's see, you can see that this is looking like this. So I'm gonna give some padding vertical as well. So let's style is equal to, and padding vertical of 20, not 20. If let's see how it's gonna looking. So yeah, perfect, it's looking well, padding vertical of 20. Okay, now after that what I'm gonna do, basically guys, so as you can see that initially if we reload this app, so we are getting 10 items. All right, we have to implement the infinite scrolling to here. Okay, so how we can implement the infinite scrolling here? So to implement the infinite scrolling, we have to basically use one thing that is called, okay, before that, here we are showing the activity indicator. So we will only show this activity indicator if is loading state is true, like this. Okay, so if it's loading is true, then only we will show this footer component. Okay, now after that let me scroll down. So we have to make API call that is called on and reached. Okay, so first of all we have to define on and reached threshold, like when we want to make API call on end. So I'm telling that if user reached the half of the content, 0.5 means half of the content, we have to make this API call on end reached. We have to call this function on end reached function. Okay, so let me get fetch. I'm gonna create one more function that is called fetch more wallpapers. All right, so let me create one function const fetch more wallpapers, and the function is task gonna be so much simpler. Basically what it is gonna do, it will check that if has more is true. Okay, so to implement the pagination, we're gonna have one more state that is called const has more and set has more. Okay, it will check that do we have more data, then only we will increase the page, otherwise we will don't increase the page. So we are checking that do we have more data. So initially it's gonna be has more data, like more than 10 data, so we will say that true. Otherwise, okay, we went to the get all wallpapers, so we will check that if new wallpapers dot length, if it's less than 10. Okay, if less than 10, so what I'm going to tell that is set has more will become false. All right, and let's see here. So I'm checking that if has more is true. Okay, if has more is true, only if has more is true, then only what you guys have to do, you have to do increase the page. So set page is gonna be okay, let me add a page as well. So const page set page, okay, set page, and it's gonna be use state, and by default it's gonna be page number 1. All right, now once the user scroll down, and if we're having more data, so we're gonna increase the page as well. So page gonna be +1, whatever the value is it. All right, now if user scroll down, let's see the example. So currently we are having a page number 1. So as you can see that currently we are inside we went to the page number 2. If I scroll more down, so it will increase the page as well. All right, so by default, like if I scroll down, okay, so first of all, if the page number is 1, then after that it become 2, and if you scroll more down, so it will call the third page as well. All right, so you can, if you want to increase this point like from 0.5 to something else, so feel free to increase this point as well. All right, now what we are going to do, so basically whenever the page gets increased, so we have to, whenever the page state gets changed, we are going to call this get wallpapers function as again, and inside this params we gonna pass the page as well. So let's pass the page. Okay, so let's check it out, and don't forget to add a comma. All right, now let me reload this app, and let's see. So currently we are getting some datas. Now if I scroll down more, so as you can see that it's making another API call, and let's see, are we getting more datas? Yeah, we get some datas, and I think now we don't have any more data, which I feel that's why it's not scrolling more datas. Okay, so there's one catch, like you can see that only we are getting some limited datas. So the mistake is that we are just setting the new wallpapers, like whatever we are getting the new wallpapers. So what we are supposed to do, as you can see that we are just getting the new wallpaper state. All right, so the issue is that we are not spreading the older state. So what we have to do, you have to spread the older state, and after that you have to also the new wallpaper state like this. All right, now let me reload this again once more. Now if I scroll down, so as you can see that it's make another API call, and we are able to see more data. All right, so this is how we implement the pagination and all infinite scroll in the React Native. So let me explain you what we had done. So first of all, we had created one state that is called wallpapers, and we are having a set wallpapers, and by default use state gonna be an empty array. After that we had declare is loading, set is loading, and use state is gonna be false, and after that we had declare another variable called const has more, set has more, and use state gonna be true. Okay, so initially like we gonna have a more data, like and after that we are having a const page, set page, so use state gonna be 1. Okay, so whenever user mount on the UI, so we are calling this function get all wallpapers, and also when the page value get changed, we are calling this get all wallpapers function. All right, now so we are calling this function get all wallpapers. Okay, so we are making set is loading as a true. All right, and after that we are checking that we are making API call to this endpoint /API/wallpapers, and inside this params we are passing the page as well. Okay, now const new wallpapers is equal to response.data.wallpapers, otherwise an empty array. We will check that we have a new wallpaper length. If length is exists, so what I'm doing here, set wallpapers is equal to, I'm spreading the whole state and spreading the new state as well. Okay, and if I check that if new wallpapers.length is less than 10, so I'm telling that set has more is false. All right, and we are making set is loading as a false, set is loading as a false. Okay, now if fetch has more wallpapers, so again we are calling this function like fetch more wallpapers. So we are checking that if has more is true, then only we are increasing the page size, and we are again making the get all wallpapers function. If has more is become false, so we are not doing anything more. Okay, so inside the flat list we had inside the data props we are passing the wallpapers, and after that we had added this on end range threshold, like if the user is on the mid of the screen, like if he has scrolled up 50% of the width, so we will call this function on end reached fetch more wallpapers. And inside the list footer component we are rendering a activity indicator if its loading is true. Okay, So if user click on this image, so user can like this image, okay, and user can download the image as well. As you can see that progress percentage, and if user wants to share the image, so he will be able to share that image as well, because we have worked on this functionality lastly. All right, now what we are going to do after that, we are going to work on this category screen. Okay, so let's go to the collection screen. Okay, here what we have to do, here we have to make the again API call, and it's gonna render the data. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a one function called const categories set categories. All right, and it's gonna be user state and empty array. Okay, and after that we're gonna make another function that is called const get all categories. Okay, it's gonna be async function. Okay, and after that we're gonna call const response is equal to await API dot get request slash API slash categories. Okay, and once we get the categories, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set the categories will be response dot data dot categories. All right, and instead of having a normal this, so we're gonna add a try catch block as well, and inside this try catch we are setting that. Okay, and apart from that we are gonna have a is loading state, set is loading, and by default user state gonna be a false value. Okay, and once we get all the categories, we are making function to get all categories, we gonna make it true. Okay, once we get all the data, we gonna make it false. All right, and if we get some any error, any kind of error, so we are again making set is loading as a false. All right, now we have to call this function get all categories whenever the component get mount on the UI. So let's add use effect. Okay, inside this we gonna call this function get all categories, and inside this function we have to pass the arrow function as well. Okay, so if I console the categories, so you can see that we are getting undefined right now. Okay, so there's one typo which I done, like I typo the cat. So let me click on categories. Now as you can see that we are getting the categories data. All right, so let me remove the console. Okay, so currently we are having a dummy data. Instead of having dummy data, we're gonna pass the categories. All right, and if you see that category doesn't exist, so it's called categories. Okay, so we are passing the categories here. So as you can see that we are having a categories, and you can see that we are running the iPhone wallpapers, architecture wallpapers, and cherry blossom wallpapers, all the wallpapers. Now if user click on iPhone wallpapers, so what is happening, it's opening the iPhone wallpapers. If I click on architecture wallpaper, it should open to architecture wallpaper. Okay, so let's implement that functionality. All right, so if you can see that whenever user clicking on any image or any card, so what we are doing here basically, guys, so if you know that we are navigating the collection details screen along with the item. Now let's go to the collection details screen. So let's go collection details screen. Here yes, you can see that we are having we are reading the params like route.params.item. Okay, so if you console the item, so let's see what we are getting here. Okay, so I added the console here after the reading the items from the params. So let's click on categories. So we are having getting all the categories like iPhone architecture. So if we click on that any category, so we are getting item underscore ID, the category ID, and the image of the category and the name. All right, so let me explain you what is happening. So we are in the collection screen. So in the collection screen we are rendering this category. So this is the one separate card that is called category card. Inside the category card we are having the item, this iPhone wallpaper, architecture wallpaper, that is all the item. All right, so whenever user clicking on any card, so we are navigating to the collection details screen. Along with that we are passing an item object. Okay, so item object has this object, iPhone wallpapers, all the data like that object which whenever we click on that object. All right, so let's go to the collection details screen. So we are getting the category ID. Okay, item dot underscore ID is a collect this, if you see that item dot underscore ID is a category ID. All right, so what we have to do, we have to bring the image associated with that category. As you can see that this image is static right now. All right, so we have to make it dynamically. All right, so let's do that. So first of all, I'm gonna make one function that is called const get all wallpapers of that category. So for now I'm making this function get all wallpapers. All right, it's gonna be async function because we are going to make an API call. After that I'm going to use try catch block. Okay, and here what I'm going to write const response is equal to await API dot get request, and the endpoint is /API /wallpapers. Okay, and after that once we get the response, I'm going to write new wallpapers as we had done last time. New wallpapers is equal to response dot data dot wallpapers. All right, my bad, it should be wallpapers. After that we will check if response to data dot wallpaper, we are checking it's a ternary condition, like we are checking like if this key doesn't exist, so it will not throw error, like key doesn't found. So that will help us to we are using this question mark that will not throw error some kind of, and we are adding a if doesn't exist, so we are initializing a empty array. So after that we are checking that if new wallpapers dot length if there. All right, at that point of time only we are updating the set wall. Okay, so we have to create one state that is called wallpaper, so which manage the data, which manage the state basically, wallpapers, and set wallpapers. All right, and use state. By default it's gonna be initial value will be an empty array, and we are setting the set wallpapers as a new wallpaper. So let me add a set wallpapers is equal to new wallpapers. All right, okay, and after that we have to call this API as well. Okay, and if we get any error, so we can console that error as well, console dot. Okay, let me log that, not throw that error. Okay, so we'll console that error as well. After that what I'm going to do basically, we have to call this API. Okay, whenever user load this category screen. So what I have to do, I have to use effect hook. Okay, and inside this we have to write like this. Okay, and I will check that. Okay, so we have to call this, run this API if item dot underscore id is there only, basically if the category id exists. All right, so at that point of time only I'm gonna make a get all wallpapers request, otherwise I will not make any request. Okay, and here we have to pass the images as well. So if I show you guys like currently what we are getting inside the wallpapers, if you are not passing any params in the category params. So let's see. So you can see that currently we are passing the static data, so we have made it's dynamic. So I pass the wallpaper state. After that we are having a item, image, card, all the things. Let me reload this. Let me click on category card. So let's click on architecture wallpapers. So as you can see that we are getting just only iPhone wallpapers kind of image. If I click on cherry blossom, so it's still giving the iPhone kind of images. All right, so it's not working, like we have to fix it up. So what we are supposed to do basically guys, we have to pass the params while making API call. So params gonna be look like this, params. All right, and inside this we have to pass a category. The category value will be item dot underscore id, because item is an object and underscore id is a category id. If you see already, as you can see that if I reload this, so if you see that let me click on this category screen. Now clicking on cherry blossom. So if you see, okay, I removed the console, my bad. Let me add again console here. So if you see the console, we are getting the item dot underscore id, which is the category id. All right, so still you can see that this is not working. I'm clicking on cherry blossom, but it's not returning that kind of data. All right, so we are doing some kind of mistake. The mistake is gonna be we have to figure out what mistake am I doing. So category. All right, so we have to pass the category. Okay, and I'm passing the get all wallpapers. And again if I reload this app, okay, and if I click on category screen, if I click on cherry blossom, so still it's giving me same iPhone kind of images. So I'm sure like I'm doing some mistake. So the mistake could be in this passing the category. Let's check it out how we have to pass the category. So I'm gonna open my backend. So how we want categories would be, we have to pass. So we go to this inside the server wall hub. Okay, and I think we have to pass category ID, not a category ID. Okay, and let me see. Okay, all right, it's working. So basically what will happen in the tutorial, I using the category, but it was my backend hold project, like where we have data. So there I mentioned the category ID instead of category, and that's why it was not working as expected. So as you can see that now I pass the category ID instead of having a category. So if I click on beach wallpaper, so it will return the only the beach wallpaper. All right, looks good. Now if I go back and click on any cherry blossom architecture wallpaper, so it will only return the architecture wallpaper like this. Alright, now let's go back. So we have to also implement the pagination here. Like currently as you can see that we are getting only data, but if we scroll down, so we are not getting more data. So we have to implement the pagination and infinite scrolling with the help of pagination. So how we can do it, let me tell you guys. So first of all, we're gonna have a one state that is called const page set page, and by default use state value gonna be a page number 1, and we're gonna have another state that is called const has more. Okay, and set has more, and by default use state gonna be a true. All right, now after that we have to pass a page value here. Okay, so whenever page value gets changed, so we have to make a call get all wallpapers. Okay, and here in the params we have to also pass the page. Okay, so we are passing the page as well, and now we have to add the pagination logic. To add the pagination logic, we have to scroll down, we have to go inside our flat list. Inside the flat list we have to pass two parameters. The first parameter is called on threshold, on n threshold. Okay, so it will take a integer value. Like if you hover that, so it will take a integer value, like what. So I'm passing 0.5. It means that on n reach threshold, if it's reached half of the item, like if it's reached on the 5th item of the by scrolling down, so it will call of this next function that is called on n reach. Okay, so here we gonna add one function called fetch more wallpapers. All right, so in this what we are going to do, basically here we gonna create one function called fetch more wallpapers. It's gonna be an arrow function like this. Okay, so if I explain you once more, so on reach threshold is a parameter where we have to pass in value. If I passing 0.5, it means that if its screen reach half of the width, so we are calling a function. So if I add a console here, fetching more wallpapers. All right, so if I scroll down here, so let me go on the category details screen, click on architecture. Okay, so you can see that it's calling fetching more wallpapers because on the viewport it is render almost half of the component. All right, so if I make it 0.5 to 0.8, so if it's called 80% of the width, all right, then after that it will call this fetch more wallpapers. Now if I scroll down, scroll down, so if it's reached to the 80% of the item, okay, so at that point of time, okay, my bad, so we have to go inside this category. I was scrolling down on the home page, and that's why we are not getting the console. We have to go inside this category screen. Let's click on architecture wallpapers. So it's calling fetching more wallpapers. Okay, so if you scroll more down, so it will call that on enriched function. All right, so the best practice, the best value which I passed, if user see in the half of the images, so we have to call fetch more wallpapers. All right, and here we have to check that if has more, if there is more item, then at that point of time what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set page as a page plus 1. Okay, and after that what we have to do here, we have to pass we are passing a page dependency here. So whenever page value get changed, it will call the get all wallpapers. All right, and here we are checking if new wallpapers dot length is there. Okay, if new wallpapers dot length is there, then what I'm gonna do here, so now currently what is happening, if I explain you guys, so let's go to the category details screen. Now let's click on iPhone wallpaper, and if I scroll down, so currently you can see that we are getting only some 2, 4, 5 image. Okay, and that's weird for me. Okay, now click on architecture wallpapers. So still currently we are getting only 2, 4, 6 wallpaper. Okay, and I'm very surprised with this, why it's getting only 2, 4, 6 images. The reason behind is that we are setting with the new value. Okay, so if what I'm gonna do right now, the thing which I'm gonna do right now here, I will split the existing images and the new images as well. So we have to do like this. So what I'm gonna do right here, we will split the previous images, so it's called wallpapers, and I'm gonna split the new wallpapers by like this, new wallpapers. All right, now if I currently we are showing 2, 4, 6. Okay, if we scroll down, nothing is happening. And why? Because this is nothing is happening because has more property is true. All right, and we are checking that if new wallpapers dot length, if new wallpapers dot length, if it's less than 10. Okay, if it's less than a limit, then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell that man set has more become false, like we don't have any more data. Okay, because let's suppose we had added the limit on the backend, like we want only 10 data in a first go. If it's returning less than 10 data, means there is no more data in the next API call. All right, so let me do once more. Let's click on the category details screen. Let's click on iPhone wallpapers. We are getting 2, 4, 5 images, and the mistake which I'm doing right now, that is too much surprising for me. Let me debug it and let's see what mistake am I doing here. So I'm gonna make a console the page here. Okay, so I'm consoling the page, and currently you can see that the page value which I'm getting initially, it's called, let's click on this, let's click on iPhone wallpapers. So first it's calling the page number 1, then it's calling page number 2. Okay, but it should be like return more than 5 data. I think in this category we are having just 5 images. Okay, and let me debug it, like what mistake am I doing. All right, so as you can see that we are currently having in the cherry blossom category, we are just having a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so this is working. So what is happening now, under nature wallpapers we are having only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 images. Okay, and if we go back, let me go back, and if you see the beach wallpapers, so how many images we have. So as you can see, we had implemented the pagination, and let's see has more, how many data do we have. So if I click on back screen, and if I click on iPhone wallpapers, so as you can see that we are having just only some limited data, like 5 data on the iPhone wallpapers. On the architecture wallpapers we are having almost 6 datas. So has more become false, we don't have any more datas. If I click on cherry blossom, so we are having a good amount of data, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 datas, 12 and many more. All right, so that's why it's returning a lot of data, but some doesn't have a great data. Okay, so this is how we had implemented the pagination here, as we have already implemented in the home screen as well, so that's not a big deal. All right, now after that what we are going to do, if you click on a category screen, like a screen, so as you can see, let's click on view favorites, and if we see that currently we are passing the wallpapers. All right, collection data skill wallpapers. Okay, and we are having a set has more property we are doing. All right, and we are checking that if item dot underscore id is there, only we are calling get all wallpapers. We are passing the category id as well using the item dot underscore id. All right, awesome, and we are passing the page value as well. So the page gonna be 1, 2, 3 whatever, and it's making API call. All right, so if you click on like screen, so what is happening, it's working as well. Click on downloads, so it is also working perfectly. Awesome. Now after that what we are going to do, we have to work on this search screen. All right, so let's do that on the search screen as well. So I'm gonna click on close saved, click on search screen, and here we have to make an API call as well here. So first of all, what I'm gonna do right now here, that initially we are going to render some images. So what I'm gonna do, like I'm gonna call this API here, the home screen API. So I'm gonna write const wallpapers. Okay, let's click on search screen. Okay, and set wallpapers. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do now, on the first time we render some images, okay, and when user search, we will when user search, so we will make API call and render the rest of the data as well. So I'm gonna write use state. Initially it's gonna be an empty array, okay, and I'm gonna write a function called get all wallpapers, okay, and it's gonna be async function, okay, and inside this we have to write like this, okay, and let's implement the logic. Const response is equal to await API dot get, and we're gonna add endpoint slash API slash wallpapers, okay, and after that we will get the response, and we're gonna write new wallpapers is gonna be response dot data dot wallpapers wallpapers, okay, and after that we will check that if new wallpapers dot length, we have dot length, and we're gonna add a one empty array as well. All right, now we check that if we have a new wallpaper dot length is there, then only we're gonna set wallpapers is equal to new wallpapers. All right, and after that we're gonna pass this inside this wallpaper state. So I'm gonna copy this wallpaper state. Let's go to the search screen. As you can see that currently we are having some static images, so we have to replace with this wallpaper state. All right, now if I replace the wallpaper state, and let's see, let's click on category details screen, and if I reload this, so we are getting nothing right now. So the mistake which I'm doing right now, wallpapers get all wallpaper, okay, so I'm not calling this function get all wallpapers whenever the component get mount, so we have to call this function as well. So I'm going to writing use effect, okay, and here we have to call this function whenever the component get mount on the UI. So I'm gonna calling it all wallpapers, okay, and it's gonna be like this. Awesome. Now as you can see that we are getting some wallpapers like iPhone wallpapers, and we have to here what we are supposed to do, guys, we have to add the pagination here as well. To add the pagination, I'm gonna write const page set page, and use the state gonna be initial value gonna be 1. All right, and we're gonna has a one more property called has more, and set has more. All right, and it's gonna be use state set has more is gonna be true. By default we're gonna have a has more property, like has more datas, and what we're gonna do, set page. So whenever, so here in the flat list we have to do as we are doing. All right, on n threshold on n reached threshold is 0.5, okay, and we have to call on n reached function that is called fetch more wallpapers. All right, now let's copy this fetch more wallpapers function, and let's create this fetch more wallpapers. All right, and here this we have to write set page, we have to increase the page plus 1, but before increasing the page we have to check that do we have more data, has more true, then only we have to increase the page, otherwise we are not going to increase the page value. All right, now we have to implement the has more logic as well. Okay, so here what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna check that if new wallpapers dot length is less than 10. All right, if length is less than 10, then I'm gonna tell that set has more become false. We don't have any more data, because if we getting less, we are added the limit of 10. All right, so every time we make API call we get the data of 10. If the data is returning, length, the data which we are getting, if length is less than 10, it means that we don't have more data in the next API call. All right, and if new wallpapers dot length is not less than 10, so it becomes set has more as a true. All right, now after that whenever we change the page, we have to call this function page as well, get all wallpapers. Now let's go to the search screen. Okay, so we are getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 datas, and we are not getting more datas. All right, now let me reload this. Okay, the mistake which I'm doing, guys, like the thing which I forget, first of all we have to pass the page as well. So I'm passing the page value. Okay, and whenever we getting a new wallpapers, what we are supposed to do, guys, we have to split the previous state. So it's gonna be wallpapers, and after that we have to split the new wallpapers like this. Okay, so this is how, and let's go to the search screen. Okay, so we are getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 datas, and we are getting more datas, more, but we are getting same time repeated data. Okay, so we are doing some mistake. The mistake gonna be like this. We are passing the page value, but if you click on search screen, so we are getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 datas, again same repeated data. All right, so we are doing some mistake in the backend part, in the front end part. Let me debug it. What mistake am I doing right now? So I'm calling page, and let me reload this. Okay, so I'm checking that set page has, if has more is true, then I'm setting the page +1. So I went to the search screen. I'm on the page number 1, page number 2, page number 3. All right, so maybe there is some mistake on the backend side. Let me check that what mistake am I doing right now. Okay, so guys, I just debugged that and I find out that we are doing some syntax mistake. That is called, we have to pass the page inside the params, but I'm passing the page inside the body, and that's causing the issue. So let's do pass this inside the params. So we're gonna have a params like this, and inside this I have to pass the page value like this. All right, now if you scroll down, if you let me reload this app, and let's click on this search icon, and initially we are getting some images 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now if we scroll more down, we are getting more datas. All right, now in the bottom we have to also implement the activity indicator, some kind of loader. So let's add a loader. Const is loading. All right, and set is loading. Okay, and they're gonna use state gonna be false initially. Okay, and let's add a set is loading true. So whenever we make API call, we're gonna make it true, and whenever it's get done, so we're gonna make it false. So let me add in the bottom set has false, set is loading false. All right, so currently we are making API call and making set is loading as a true. After that, once we get the response, I'm making set is loading as a false, set is loading as a false. All right, now inside the list footer component, inside the flat list, we have one props that is called list list footer component. All right, here we have to write view the view, and inside the view we're gonna have a activity indicator. So let me add activity indicator, not activity indicator. All right, and here we have to pass the size gonna be a large, and the color which I'm gonna pass, that is called a white. The size is large, and the color which we have to pass, that is called white. All right, now if you scroll down more, so as you can see that we are getting the loader, but we have to add one more thing, that is called padding vertical of 20. Okay, now we have added the padding vertical of 20, and here you can see that it's always render this loader. So what I'm gonna do right now, here I'm gonna render this loader only if its loading is a true. So I'm gonna add a is loading, and if it's true, then only I'm rendering this view. So this is the thing which we have to do, and I'm doing some mistake here. We have to use AND operator, and inside this we have to do like this. Still this is causing some error. Why? Let me check it out. Okay, got it. So mistake which I was doing, is here we have a curly braces, so we can get rid of this, and we gonna have a like this. If its loading is true, then we gonna render this like this. All right, now I'm checking that if its loading is true, then only render this activity indicator. So as you can see that it's rendering only if that is if there is loading is true. All right, now let me reload this. Now the next thing which we have to work on, that is called search functionality. All right, so to work on a search functionality, we are gonna use debouncing. All right, basically what is debouncing? If I explain you what do you mean by debouncing, so let's suppose whenever user type continuously, let's suppose if user a type a b c, so every time we make API call. All right, every time we make API call, and that's not a good practice. All right, if it's not a good practice, so what is good practice? The good practice is gonna be like this. If user write anything, like if user write one go iPhone wallpapers, so once the user stop typing, all right, and at that point of time, once the user stop typing, and once the user stops typing, and after 2 milliseconds, then we will make API call. All right, so what is going to happen, it will decrease the server server pressure, or server basically it will decrease the server, decrease the number of API call which we are doing. So let's do that as well. All right, so for that we have to use one package. Okay, so let's do that. Now to implement debouncing in search, so how we can do that? So for that we are going to use one package. So the package name is called use debounce. So what you guys have to search, you have to search npm I use debounce. Okay, you can read more about the use debounce. So people usually ask in the interview, and that's one of the most crucial topic in the interview. So if you can see, I will show you the example. Let's suppose if I write my name is Alishan, so it's not making API call again. So it's calling API call once I stop that writing. So if I write something, it will be stop once I stop something, after some certain seconds. All right, so this is the use of your use debounce. You can read more about that. So what you have to install this package. So just click on this use debounce. After that you have to stop this and you have to just paste that use debounce. Okay, so it will install that, and after that we have to restart our emulator again, npm start. Okay, so if you go to this documentation, they have mentioned very clear and descriptive how we can use the use debounce. All right, so if I scroll down, so first of all, use debounce callback, use throttle callback. So debounce is a way to decrease the API call, and that is the best practice whenever you are doing something searching stuff. All right, so we are going to use debounce callback method. So first of all, we're gonna have a search value like this, and whenever user type something, we will call that function on debounce, and after that, after some seconds, and we will update that set value. All right, so first of all, what I'm gonna do inside, let's go on the search screen. Okay, so if I user write something, we have to maintain the state. So I'm gonna write one state that is called search value. Okay, search value, and we're gonna have another state that is called set search value, and by default use state value gonna be an empty string. Okay, and we have to also pass the search value in the param. So whenever user type something or search something, it will call that. Okay, so we are passing the search value in the params. Okay, now we have to manage the state as well. So set search value, we have to copy that, and what you guys have to do, you have to copy this snippet. Const debounce is equal to use debounce callback. So let's do that. So I'm gonna write here const you can copy this. Let's just copy this so we don't get any error. So I just copy this, and we have to write const debounce is equal to use debounce callback. Here we have to import the use debounce callback from the use debounce. All right, here we get the value, and after that, once we get the value, we update the value as well. So we're gonna write the set search value. Okay, before that, let me add a console and explain you. And this is the delay, like after what millisecond you gonna make the API call, or you gonna set the value. Okay, so we have to copy this debounce function. Let's go to the text input, and here I'm gonna add one things called on text change. So we get the value. All right, after that let's console that what we are getting inside the value. So let's click on search screen. Let's type something iPhone. All right, so they see that we are getting iPhone. Okay, so here what I'm gonna do debounce. I'm gonna call the debounce function, and I'm passing the value. Okay, so as normal people, what we do basically, here people will make a API call on every type, on every key press, and that's not a good practice, guys. Okay, so we're gonna make API call on key press. That's not good practice. That's why we are using debounce function. So what it's gonna do, I'm explaining you guys once more, but what's gonna do, it will make API call once the user stop typing, and after that it will call the API in after some milliseconds, like after what delay you want to make API call. All right, so we are calling this function debounce, and we are passing this value whatever user will type. Let's go to the debounce function, okay, which we had created. On the use debounce callback, if we console the value, what we are getting, let's see. So if I just reload it, okay, and let's go to the search screen. If I write something iPhone, okay, so you can see that we are not getting anything on the console. The reason being is that it will wait for 1 second, okay, and after that it will make API call. It will console that. All right, so let me decrease this API from 100,000 to 100, and let's do like this. Okay, so as you can see that currently we are getting this value. Okay, so let me do something again. Search here. I'm gonna write iPhone. So as you can see that it's making API call after 100 milliseconds. So the best practice will be make API call in a 500 second. Okay, so I'm gonna write something like this. So it will took some time. You can see that it will taking some delay, and after that it is making API call. Let's write something iPhone. Okay, so as you can see I write type, but it took the 500 millisecond, and after that it's consoling the value. Okay, so here what we're gonna do, first of all, whenever user type something, I'm gonna do that set search value will be gonna be new value. All right, and after that once user search that, we're gonna make the get all wallpapers. Okay, so let's reload the app. Okay, if I reload this and type something, let me type something. Okay, let's reload the app. Okay, now let's click on search screen, and I'm gonna search here cherry. All right, so it will call this API in some seconds, but I can't see any value, right? And that's a surprising. Let's check it out why it's not working well. So get all wallpapers, we are calling this function. Okay, and let's see what we are getting the search value here. Okay, and let me reload this. Okay, now if I click on again search screen, so we are getting search value is empty string, and if I write something cherry, something like that, so still we are getting the search value as an empty string, and that's weird. Why we are not getting the search value? So we are setting the set search value. Okay, and after that we are calling the get wallpapers. The reason behind it's not getting any value. Okay, why? The reason behind is it that it's called search value is an async function, so it's gonna took some time. Okay, so what we gonna do basically, guys, we're gonna pass the search value here. Okay, so we can write have a value here. Inside the get wallpapers we're gonna get the search value as well. So if search value is here in the params, so we'll call that here. So let's do. Okay, if I write something called cherry. Okay, so now if you see that we are getting the cherry. Okay, and we are calling this method function cherry wallpapers, but we are not getting any datas, and that's also surprising for me. So I just figured out like what mistake I was doing basically, guys. So what is happening now, whenever I type something nature, so what is happening, it has some existing images, right? The first API call, and after that once we search something, so it is taking that, if we have, if the new data come up, so we are setting that set wallpapers, we are spreading the older state and we are adding the new state. So that time, at that point of time, what is happening, the nature image is coming after this after this rest of the images, and that was causing error. All right, so let's figure it out how we can fix it up. So fix it up, we have to do it here. Okay, so the thing which we have to do, first of all, we are setting the set search value as a with the new value, and now we have to also update the set page. Okay, the page value gonna be 1. So basically whenever we type something, it should be searching on the page number 1. All right, and we are calling the get all wallpapers with this search value, so we can get rid of this search value for now. All right, and as we can see that we have already a search page, whenever page value get changed, we are calling it all wallpapers function. Okay, and what we gonna do is that if wallpapers dot length is there. Okay, all right, and here we gonna check that if page number 1 is there. Okay, if page number 1, then what we gonna do, we gonna so if we page number 1, so we just update the set wallpapers state with the new wallpaper state. Okay, if it's not page number 1, if it's more than page number 2, 3, whatever, so we are updating with the previous value and updating with the new value. All right, now let me reload this. Okay, and if you reload this, let's go to the search screen. Currently we are getting some images. Okay, now here what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna search here one thing that is called iPhone. Okay, I searched the iPhone, and we can see that do we get the iPhone wallpapers? Nope. Why we are not getting iPhone wallpapers? That's surprising for me. Sorry guys, I just figured it out what mistake I was doing, guys. So the mistake was simpler, like basically what was happening, let me remove this all the console and explain you guys the mistake which I was doing. So as you can see that whenever we update the set whenever we update the value of user set, it's gonna do a asynchronous operation. All right, so here if we so first of all, what is happening, let's explain that from the text input. So we are having a text input, inside that we are calling on change text method. Inside that we are having a debounce. All right. My okay, inside the bounce we are calling this function, and inside the use debounce callback we are getting the new value. Once we get the new value, we are updating the search value with the new value. Okay, and we are setting the page as a 1, and we are calling get all wallpapers with the new search value. Now let's go to the get all wallpapers. Let me explain that. We are getting the search value. All right, and we are making API call to the /API/wallpapers. We are passing the page value and we are passing the search value. Okay, so whatever the search value we are getting here, we are passing that, as well as whatever we have already typed. Okay, now after that we are checking that if new wallpapers, new wallpapers.length exists. Okay, we are checking that if we are on the page number 1. So what we have to do, you have to just set the with the new state whatever we are getting. All right, and if it's not on the page number 2, so you have to split the previous state and we have to update with the new state. So if I write something cherry blossom cherry, so what is gonna happen, it will bring the cherry data. Okay, but let me reload it once more, and let's click on search and write cherry. Okay, so let's see, are we getting the cherry data? Yes, we are getting the cherry data. Awesome. Now if I write something more, if I write iPhone, and let's see, we are getting iPhone data as well already. Now let me do with this nature. Okay, so I type the nature and we are getting the nature data as well. Awesome. So this is how we implement search functionality in React Native with the use debounce hook, and that's a good practice to use debounce hook. All right guys, so after that we are done with the most of the functionality. So let's push the code. To push the code we have to write git add git commit -m and write a good great message like API integration completed. Okay, and after that we have to write git push to push the code. Okay, so the code is pushed and we are having a home screen. Okay, and we are having a collection screen, when we are having a search screen, and you are having a like screen. All right, now let's add one more image. So let's click on the architecture wallpaper. So I'm gonna click on this image and it's gonna load it, and let's click on like. So it will, okay, the image is already liked, so it is not liking anymore. So let's go to the home screen and I'm gonna like this any new images. Let's like this image, this person guy. Click on like and let's see. Okay, it is not working. Is it like that? Let's click on download. Download is working. Why? Okay, let me see the show wallpaper screen. So we went to the show wallpaper screen. We are having a like screen. So what we are checking that, instead of the mistake which we are doing here, we are checking that using this find index method. So in the place of item.id we gonna use the item._id. okay, because it's a Mongo's ID. We are not using this dummy datas. All right, so let's see, let's click on like. Okay, and it still is telling the ID. Let me reload this our app. Okay, now again let's click on like. Yeah, it's working. View effects. Oh, that's weird. Okay, let's click on again. Let's click on like, and we are getting some error. So what we are doing here, we are checking that handle like wallpaper async item. So basically what you guys have to do, you have to remove this existing item first of all, then after that you can add more items. So we're gonna do item.id, image.id, and item dot like this, and let's click on like once more. Okay, let's add any more other images. So let's click on this image. This is added. View favorites. Okay, so let's go back. Let me click on this. Okay, let's click on liked. Possible handle promise rejection. ID1 reference a property alert does not exist, so let import the alert. Okay, the mistake which I was doing. Now let's click on like once more. It's already liked, you can see that, and let's scroll down more. I'm gonna add like this image as well. So let's click on this. Let's click on like. The image gets also liked. All right, we can download the image as well. Perfect. We can like this image as well. Awesome. So yeah, this is all about we have completed this app completely. And after that, if you're facing any issue, or if you need this code base of our application, what you guys have to do, you have to scan this a WhatsApp group using your WhatsApp camera, and you have to send this message like, please provide the code base. So we'll send you this access of this repository. All right. And apart from that, we will also we had already covered that how to add app icon in the splash screen in our video, so you can check it that out on this on our channel. After that, if you are, as you can see that I had already created this video. Let me show you guys like how to add app icon in the splash screen. So I'm not going to explain in this video, guys, because I had already done that. And after that, we will see that how to deploy your app on Google Play Store, how to create Google Play Store account, and we will deploy that. All right. So see you guys in the next video. Thank you. And our full stack app development course is completed. So how do you like this course? Please let me know. And yeah, thanks. Bye.